All right, all right, all right. Look at this. I switched it. Welcome, everyone, to Witch Please, episode 6. So incredibly excited for today, mostly because I remembered to switch it for the video to watch me. So, now I get to stare at myself, and you guys get to stare at me while I talk about another amazing witchy, mystical topic this week. And we are talking today about rituals. What the fuck are they? Why do we do them? And I'm going to tell you why, because, I looked through the list of topics, some folks had posted, hey, I know we've got some folks that are interested in signs and synchronicities. And I did ask what particular, because there's all sorts that are out there. And some other folks asked maybe about animal magic. And I thought because of last night, and it wasn't until this morning. I really thought I was going to do something on the animal magic. It wasn't until this morning that I decided to do something around rituals. And the reason why is because last night was the new moon, right? So we had a new moon in Virgo, fell on a Thursday. And every single month, part of the Illuminate program that I lead, the Illuminate the Unschool of Witchcraft, we do a new moon manifestation ritual every single month. And so last night was it. And so here, once again, I was in this incredibly beautiful space, shaping ritual with these amazing humans, all part of, yeah, there we go. But this is why I thought I had sent this other one to the stream, but I didn't. So thanks, Fox. Now you can see my face. Yay! Because you could see it before, but it was the picture. But now you get to see me live. This is why I literally told my assistant, I was like, thank God you were on these with me, because I'd probably be on mute. She sets these up and preps them, so it's very helpful. But yeah. So why are we talking about rituals today? We're going to go back to that. So last night we had this beautiful new moon manifestation ritual. Probably, it's funny because I swear every month everybody's like, this one's so potent. This one's so powerful. And like, once again, the sentiment of last night. And it was so incredibly intense for me, right? As the kind of the facilitator and the high priestess leading this ritual. I was in tears by the end of it. Like I had to let everyone go. And I was just so overwhelmed by the amount of energy that we'd kind of raised and let go that, I had just tears in my eyes. And so that's why we're talking about ritual today, right? Because, what the fuck are they and why do we do them? Like, why do I literally plan and prepare for a ritual every single month? Right. So, as I thought about what I was going to share and talk about, I had this question pop into my head, which is, am I going to talk about a ritual? Am I going to talk about a spell? And then what is the difference? And so, I'm a huge believer that we all get to define what the fuck we believe in, like what's true to us, what definition we want to accept. But I always like to go look and see what everybody else kind of says or does, to start. And so, the question is there a difference between a ritual and a spell, right? For a witch. So let's first take a look at what the definitions of these two things are. And then I'm going to share my perspective on this, right? So I looked up the definition of a ritual. This is the literal, I don't remember what dictionary it was from, but a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. Okay. A spell, and it was interesting because if you like go look into the dictionaries, it's really hard to find, when it comes to spell for like the noun of like a magical purpose. But a spoken word or form of words believed to have magical power, right? So these are some of the definitions that I found. And so I figured I would share first kind of my perspective. And, you could interchange a couple of various different things. And I'm actually going to pull some of this just intuitively because I've got somebody like chit chattering and ready to talk. And so I believe my own definition or belief as to what a ritual is very similar to the actual definition of it, right? A ritual is something that is, you may even exchange that as a habit, right? Something that is repeated, it is regular, it has steps, it has a prescribed order, it's performed in a certain sequence, in a certain series, right? And so you could even say like your morning routine is a ritual, right? If you wake up, you turn on the coffee pot, you go, take a piss, brush your teeth, like that could be a morning ritual, right? Now, if you throw some magic in there, now it's a magical morning ritual, like while you're brushing your teeth, saying some really good intentions in your mind. And as you're brewing the coffee, putting the intention of productivity into it, like you can totally turn those things into magical rituals. But that's my belief or my understanding of a ritual. Now, I think a spell, you'd probably have all sorts of various people give you a different definition or their own perspective on this. But the way that I always look at a spell is a spell itself. It does have that word, that language piece in it. And I'll often refer to these as the invocation part of a ritual, right? The invocation, we're actually invoking the energy that we're trying to, pull in, for magical purposes, so to speak. But, to me, a spell is not so, what's the word I'm looking, prescribed. Where like you may have a spell that is as simple as lighting a candle and stating an enchantment, like stating a phrase. You may have a spell that is literally just stating a phrase out loud, like, hey, all you folks that, when somebody sneezes and you say, God bless you, did you know that you cast a spell every time that you say that? Right? Like literally a spell has no kind of real rhyme or reason, right? It has no foundation or structure that is like kind of repeated, so to speak, this prescribed order. And so all rituals, I believe, have spells in them, but not all spells are rituals. I hope that makes sense there. All rituals have spells in them, but not all spells are rituals, right? And so, once again, I'm just gonna, for all intents and purposes, I may use them interchangeably. If I speak about one or the other, I just want to be clear. I am not, referring to one as being different, nor am I even saying like one is better than the other or anything of that nature. Just kind of describing the different characteristics of these. And the word ritual for me today means any kind of magical act or any kind of act, right? Any kind of anything that is done with intention, performed with intention. It has very specific intentions behind it. And that intention does not need to be magic or transformational, so to speak. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of religions and spiritual practices that have rituals in them, right? So I did look up a couple because there's some that I'm more familiar with. I was born and raised Catholic, so I'm much more familiar with the Christian ritual. So I'll touch on those. But like from a Hindu perspective, when I did some research, they consider silent prayer, yoga, chanting, visiting a temple, all of those things as ritual, right? Things that they're habitually and regularly going and doing and performing. From an Islamic perspective, the festival of Eid, fasting, right? So I live in an area of the country with a high Islamic population. And so like everyone around here knows when Ramadan is, because the fasting is a really big deal. And I have a high Islamic population in the city I live in. So we're actually kind of blessed that when Ramadan's in place and these folks are fasting, there are restaurants and stores and things that are staying open until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because that's when people are actually going out in the Islamic community and eating and celebrating, And if we think about it from a witch perspective, right? Some folks that may adopt a more, Wiccan type of practice in their witchcraft, you're going to have the Sabbats and the Wheel of the Years. You're going to have the moon cycles, right? Those are things, the changes of the seasons. And I'm sure that if you were to look down in any of the other pagan type of paths, you may find certain rituals that are associated to those as well, right? From a Christian, this is why I always kind of like chuckle to myself, right? Like, I think of Christianity as like seriously one of the most magical practices that's out there. I really do, right? The Catholic Church, the fact if they take any type of stance on witchcraft, I'm just like, wow, what hypocrisy. Because like, what do you consider Sunday Mass? Like, Mass is a incredibly powerful ritual that includes singing and prayers and chanting and repeating back and if the priest says one thing and you respond, right? And there are, I mean, it's just, yeah, right? Like, how is that not a very magical practice? Easter service, if you've been in the Catholic religion and you've been around Lent, I mean, that whole thing has so much ritual ingrained in it, from the Stations of the Cross to the fasting on Fridays to all of the different masses that lead up to final Easter Sunday, right? The sacraments, like literally as a child is born in Christianity, they are baptized. They are put under water to cleanse them, give them this clean palate, so to speak, then they go through other initiation throughout. Like, I mean, how I don't know. Maybe there's probably a lot of people, if anybody stumbled across this, they'd consider me very blasphemous right now. But I do. I mean, I think of a lot of these religions, especially, Christianity, mostly probably because I'm so familiar with it. If you were looking to like the Jewish, probably very heavy, but they accept their mysticism in their actual culture. They often do. But yeah, so many rituals, so many. Which begs the question, right? So we talked about why, like, or what, what are these? What are rituals? But why do we do them? Why do we do them, right? And so if we think about it from a religious perspective, often there's going to be, beliefs and dogma that are associated to those rituals, right? As I just stated, in Christianity, if you are not baptized, then your soul is not going to be eligible to go to heaven, right? That's a dogma that is associated to that particular, right, ritual. And so that's why, from a religious perspective, a lot of those rituals are often a part of the dogma associated to those religious beliefs. From a witch's perspective, oh my goodness, I have a sneeze coming. This is so awkward when you're on a live stream. You got like a sneeze. It's bad enough that I need like a little sip of water. Because yes, we do record these and live stream them, and then we actually publish them as podcasts. So I think I bypassed it, right? So for witches, we do ritual for magical purpose. That's why we do ritual, right? There is always some kind of magical intention that it's very clear. I mean, I sat here for a while and I'm like, would I ever do ritual that didn't have magical intention? And like I came down to like even like my third step prayer. It's a prayer. I do it most mornings. I'm a human, so I'm not perfect. And even that has the intention to keep me sober. Right? Like every ritual that I do as a witch has some kind of magical intention behind it. And so these can be things like, staying sober, saying a third step prayer. You could do protection, health, luck, wealth, personal transformation. I've actually been having a conversation with one of the witches in the group about whether or not maybe in the new year we want to do something around health, right? Maybe try to, increase our strength, release some weight. I don't know. Who knows, right? So personal transformation, literally bringing about change within your life. And so, even witches may not often realize it, but we are always stepping very close to any type of alchemical practices, which really says if you want your outside world to change, change what's inside you first, right? Change what's inside you first. Um, and so, yeah, that personal transformation is a really big one and why we do that. And so, even just last night, I can't share because there is some power in the mystery of the actual intention. But even just like last night, we talked about, and every month when I do these rituals, I share like who the ritual's for, right? Who's this for, who it's not for, and like what to be conscious of, like as we're doing this like intense magical rituals, these alchemical transformations, I have to be very clear that like one of the things I think I told them yesterday was like, if you are resistant, right, because we were working with Jupiter yesterday, we're working with this energy of abundance, and I was like, if you are resistant to living in the energy of abundance, I said, you may find that your physical health starts to limit you.